Good day, everyone. This is Mark Vello, and you're listening to Headline News. Yellen, the first female Treasury Secretary in U.S. history, approved by the Senate. On Monday, January 25th, the U.S. Senate voted to approve the Biden administration's nomination for Treasury Secretary. 74-year-old former chair of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, became the 78th U.S. Treasury Secretary, the first female Treasury Secretary in U.S. history, and the oldest Treasury Secretary in the United States. It is reported that the U.S. Senate voted 84-15 on Monday to approve Yellen as the 78th U.S. Treasury Secretary. Yellen is the third member of Biden's cabinet to receive Senate approval. She served as chair of the Federal Reserve from 2014 to 2018. As Treasury Secretary of the Biden administration, she will be in charge of the administration's economic policy. The U.S. Senate Finance Committee unanimously approved Yellen's nomination for Treasury Secretary on January 22nd. Republican members of the Senate Finance Committee said that while they did not agree with some of the spending and tax increases the Biden administration is preparing to introduce, they also promised to work with Yellen. Biden has pledged to allocate $2 trillion to develop U.S. infrastructure development, green energy projects, education and research to enhance U.S. competitiveness internationally. In addition, the Biden administration is set to raise the corporate tax rate to 28% from the current 21% and increase taxes on Americans earning more than $400,000 a year. Last week, Yellen urged the Congressional Budget Office to approve Biden's proposal relief bill, worth a total of $1.9 trillion, as soon as possible. She said that the nation may face a longer, more painful recession without a quick response. Biden's relief bill calls for a stimulus check of $14,000 a month per person earning less than $75,000 annually, an expansion of unemployment benefits, further assistance for small businesses, economic support for cities and states to prevent unemployment, as well as funding for the production and distribution of the COVID/CCP virus vaccine. Biden also plans to raise the U.S. minimum wage to $15 per hour, sparking opposition from Republican lawmakers. But Yellen said the decision would have little impact on U.S. businesses. Growing list of senators oppose Trump impeachment trial. Recently, more and more Republican senators have come forward and spoken out against the Senate impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump. This has made the Democrats' hopes of getting enough votes to convict Trump even slimmer. According to the Wall Street Journal, 45 Republican senators have now spoken out publicly against the Senate trial of Trump, arguing that it would be unconstitutional and a waste of time to convict a former office holder. "I think it's a moot point," Senator Mike Rounds said on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, January 24th. He's a former president. Article 1 points out that you can impeach the president, but it does not indicate that you can impeach someone who is not in office. Senator Marco Rubio added on Fox Sunday News, "The first chance I get to vote to end this trial, I'll do it." Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson wrote in a statement last week, "I believe an impeachment trial of a former president is unconstitutional and would set a very dangerous precedent. There is no provision in the Constitution for holding such a trial over a former president who is now a private citizen. Where would we get the authority to do so?" They and 45 other Republican senators, including Ted Cruz and Tim Scott, have said they disagree with an impeachment trial. Virtually all Democrats have said they'll vote to convict Trump on the charge of incitement of insurrection. The House of Representatives impeached Trump because they said his words led to the January 6th breach of the U.S. Capitol. But a timeline showed that Trump had not finished speaking when the violence at the Capitol started. Trump has defended his speech, calling it totally appropriate. Democrats must convince at least 17 Republican senators to vote with them to convict the former president. A conviction requires a supermajority. No president in U.S. history has ever been convicted after a Senate impeachment trial. Trump establishes official platform for office of the former president in Florida. On Monday, January 25th, Donald Trump announced the creation of an official office of the former president in Palm Beach County, Florida, setting the stage for future public appearances and statements. According to a statement from the agency, Trump will continue to use the office to promote his America First agenda. Today, the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, officially opened the office of the former president, the office said in its first statement. It will be responsible for managing Trump's correspondence, public statements, appearances, and official activities to advance the interests of the United States and carry on the agenda of the Trump administration through advocacy, organizing, and public activism. President Trump will always and forever be a champion for the American people, the statement concluded. CNN White House correspondent Caitlin Collins confirmed that the office will be managed by a former Trump White House aide and will operate out of Palm Beach, Florida. Other U.S. media reporters said they received the first emailed statement from the office of the former president. In the wake of the January 6 congressional riots, Twitter and several other big tech companies terminated Trump's account, leaving him without a platform for public comment since he left the White House for his Mar-a-Lago estate last week. It is expected that the office of the former president will become the official channel for Trump's news. Former Trump advisor Jason Miller said last week that President Trump would use his time out of office to advocate for the integrity of national elections and would use his dynamic influence to help Republicans win back the House and Senate in 2022. Miller later also dismissed the notion that Trump would create a third party. After leaving office, Trump had announced his support for Kelly Ward's second term as chairman of the Arizona Republican Party, and Ward was subsequently re-elected in that position. Even though he has left office, Trump still faces the challenge of impeachment in the Senate on February 8th. U.S. media The Hill reported news that Trump prepared a defense team for the February Senate congressional impeachment hearings, which Trump has not yet publicly released for comment. This concludes today's broadcast. Thank you for your time, and stay tuned for the next headline.